I think I found a prototype that goes with the helm schematic I gave you.
Yes! These markings in the metal are vents? A signature of the Tarmakine style.
Could we forge the helm now?
Maybe. Give me a sec.
The Tarmakine helm is beautiful, Sola. Can't wait to test it out on an expedition.
I am honestly kind of proud of myself right now. I wasn't totally sure I was going to be able to do that. Like I said, this style is a lost art. I know it's just a small piece, but I'm feeling on top of the world right now.
As you should. This is pretty cool.
Before my mentor, Hilda, passed away, and my apprenticeship was cut short, I always saw myself opening up my own smithing school. Specifically to pass on the Tarmakine techniques and prevent them from being lost for good. Feels like another lifetime now. Obviously that dream died with Hilda. It's been like 10 or 15 years since I've even thought of that.
Hey, if it means new gear, I'll keep tracking down schematics for you. Whatever you decide to do with all the Tarmakine knowledge you acquire.
Wow, that would be amazing. Maybe there's a chance we could restore the techniques after all.
You can do anything you set your mind to, Sola.
You're right. I'm pretty awesome like that.
That's the spirit.
This has all given me a lot to think about. A lot of memories come rushing back when I think about Tarmakine.
Good or bad ones?
Both. I remember the smells. We used very specific woods for the fires when we were alloying. Precise heats and times and sounds. The guiding tap my mentor would do before every hammer strike. Here, slower, faster, breathe with me. No, foolish girl, again.
Sounds a little relentless.
No more than the combat drills you and Oria have done. It's all practice. Making your muscles carve a groove so deep the action is automatic, so that your mind is free to focus on the intent.
You miss it?
Not all. I miss the stability of a school. Knowing where your tools are, always. And I miss that crusty old battle axe of a mentor. I had so much to learn from her. Still, maybe this is my chance. Pick up where I left off. We'll see. Oh, good. I caught you both.
We are thoroughly caught, love.
I can't stop thinking about the Tarmakine helm we forged, Bryn. I'd written off my early training as a lost cause, but you've sparked my hope.
We'll search high and low, Sola.
To think of it. Traveling the world, sharing knowledge of a lost style of armorcraft.
Yes. I suppose. Oh, I just need to tend to the forge before it cools. Excuse me.
Always so diligent about her forge.
I don't think that was about her forge, Dom.
Oh?
I'm not sure what, but something's bothering her. Just a word to the wise.
Bryn, you are a very good friend. And I know exactly what will lift her spirits. This may prove to be a bit of a challenge, but it's one I know you can handle. I need you to do some harvesting. Pushing your magic into the pattern of a great foe so that you can tear a strand of its power free. Not that you haven't done this before.
It's the only way to grow as a point.
Indeed. And so we turn our collective sights upon an Ash Peak Drake. You've already downed one of these great beasts, but a harvested strand will be our chance to strengthen your abilities.
Our?
Like all things our band tackles, it's a team effort. Whenever you pull a strand from a foe, I take that capture magic and weave it into your mantle. As a bonus, there are byproducts that I can use to make Solar a small gift.
Win-win. I get magical powers, you get husband points.
We know they've been flying in the skies above Dredger's Mire. It's just a matter of tracking one down and doing what you do best.
My first drink harvest.
Exactly as I theorized. Era's plague is little more than a stigmatized condition with a perfectly rational explanation.
Which is...
A perfect storm of family traits and lifestyle choices, exaggerated by circumstance. Diet, athletics, and sleep all factor in.
Casmin hasn't been sleeping much.
Might be worth presenting this research to her to see if the rest resonates.
Good idea.
Oria and I will join you when you're ready.
Casmin, we need to talk.
Could it wait? I'm in the middle of touch counting the armory.
No, it can't.
We've been worried about you.
I'm fine. Seriously, don't worry about me.
No one has seen you sleep in days. You're clearly hiding 2 bands worth of supplies behind the caravan shutters. And half the time you're talking a league a minute about catastrophes that are never going to happen. We can't let you keep going like this.
No. Maybe I've been a little off lately, but I'm fine, seriously. I'm just trying to keep our Weaver band prepared in case... I just want us all to be safe.
We are safe.
Kaz, I've been doing research on a condition you might know as Era's plague.
I'm not possessed.
We know.
The Enclave studies on Era's plague concluded that it's not a religious affliction, but a disorder of the mind. The sufferer experiences a cycle of relentless, disturbing thoughts and all manner of compulsions to fix them, including hoarding. Though it may be passed on through families, this condition is often exacerbated by a lack of sleep.
Bryn found a diary belonging to a Cassil man in Denevron who suffered from this. I think you should read it. He describes the intrusive visions that began after the birth of his son. Horrible fears he would drop his baby that he was so ashamed of, he couldn't share them with anyone.
That's awful.
It reached a point where he couldn't hold his own child, until he sought help.
So, you're saying... if I have Era's plague, there's a cure?
We found evidence of a treatment, yes. We'd need to talk to someone at Cassidin's Hold to know more.
But we didn't want to speak to someone outside the Weaver Band on your behalf without talking to you first.
I don't know.
None of this is your fault. It's okay to get help. We all need it from time to time.
But no one else seems to need help. Everyone else is handling being here just fine, and I'm the only one having a breakdown.
Hey! It could be any one of us tomorrow. And I know for a fact that if this were happening to anyone else, you'd cut them some slack.
She's right. It's hard for all of us to see you suffering like this. We care about you, and we just want you to be okay.
Fine. you can talk to the weavers in Cassidy's hold. I can't promise. I'm still not sure about all of this.
We'll go one step at a time.
You sure you don't want to run away, screaming?
What? Why?
Nothing. Never mind.
Come on. Seriously. What are you talking about?
It's just... That's generally the reaction that sufferers of Era's plague get across the Maida Basin. After all, Era only stalks the wicked for penance.
Are you religious yourself?
I don't really know anymore. My mother was deeply religious, so I was raised to believe in the southern gods. I always accepted them as real, but lately, I've begun to question.
How so?
I mean, if what you've discovered is true, and the visions I have aren't penance from the goddess of justice, I've been hanging on to a lot of self-contempt for nothing.
That is a heavy burden to carry out of faith. Kaz, you do so much for other people. What could you possibly have to repent for?
I don't know. At all hours of the day, a voice is howling at me for never being good enough. Never hitting the mark. It's all I can hear. How am I supposed to ignore it?
Lane's research indicates that with treatment, you can though.
I think if you knew how awful I really am, and how much I deserve to be reminded of it, you wouldn't say that.
Kasmin, we know you, and we accept you as you are.
We'll see.
Have you ever told anyone else about these visions you're having?
Only one person. My mother.
I take it she wasn't very supportive?
I'll never forget how she looked at me. Like she was terrified. She told me to keep my impure visions to myself, and that if I behaved, eventually Era would leave me alone.
How old were you?
5. I had just started school, and I was struggling with being away from my parents to attend classes. Images of them murdered by bandits while I was away hounded me during the 6 hours I spent outside the home. I swallowed my fears though, hoping, as my mother told me, that if I was good and went to school, the visions would stop.
Even if Era actually was out for you, I still wouldn't run. Anyone who cares about you knows you're not a threat.
I wish I felt as sure of that as you do.
In time, I'll be able to say, I told you so.
Maybe. It's my pick for book club. I can't decide between a love story about a studious Ram and an Auburn warrior that couldn't be more opposite, or a treatise on Tasm governance prior to the Search.
Those do seem like very different options.
Yeah, well, normally we'd have passed through somewhere with a proper bookshop by now, but we're running low on options inside the Vale.
Arik, about those statues in Upper Denevron.
You mean the Friends of the Eye?
No, I was talking about the champions.
Ha! Some of them, maybe. But you could be the most heroic weaver in the world, and unless you're cozying up to leadership, there's no statue being built in your honor.
Huh.
Anyway, what do you want with them?
Well, we're wondering if there could be a familial connection between someone in our band and one of the figures represented on the statues.
You could dive through the archives we've preserved in Casten's hold on all our heroes. That's the slow, boring way.
Don't let Lane hear you say that.
Or you can compare mantles to see if their patterns are a match.
You can tell two people are related through their mantles.
The spindle could tell you more about the science behind it. But from what I understand, there are similarities across bloodlines in how a weaver's cloth pulls magic from the air. A pattern tracer allows us to analyze those similarities between two weavers' patterns. I'll give you a design for it. Once it's built, take it to the Axle and she'll trace the mantles for you. We've preserved mantles belonging to all our heroes in Casterton's Hold.
Thanks, Eric. Aurea will be pleased.
Aurea? For what it's worth, she's twice the weaver any of those statues might claim to be.
Things still good with our Spitfire problem?
All handled. You did great out there. But now we have another problem. Madame Silverbeak. Seriously? I said it while you were out there, and the look she gave me.
Oh no, you didn't!
Oh, yeah, I did. And I shall never again. But well played, Miss Bryn. But it was quite the experience. Your scry is not at all what I'm used to. It's better, more vibrant. Anyway, sincerely, thank you for your help. If I need more, I'll know to just ask this time. Hey, Bryn. Sorry, was lost in thought. It's this scry thing. It's been bothering me.
You said it felt different from the ones you're used to.
Yours was much more intense than any we have, and I need to know why. Have we overused them? I don't think so. Yours is at least as old and clearly has seen good service.
That does seem strange.
Yeah, I went digging through everything I could find about the scries. I'm sure the Eye has records he won't share with me, or anyone, really. But I still found a lead.
A sudden burst of bureaucratic insight.
Yeah, yes, I suppose. Shipping records for scries. There were some set to go out right around the surge.
Exports? To bands like ours?
Probably. Well, that's the problem, though. There's a lot of very specific shorthand on these manifests I just don't understand.
We should talk to Casmin. She lives and breathes shipping logistics.
I was hoping you'd suggest that. I was considering asking her myself, but...
She's a little intimidating.
No, that's Aurea. Casmin just seems busy. Always busy. And I don't want to overstep here with your crew.
We can talk to her together. Hey, Kaz. Arakim has a question.
Is that why you've been lurking around here? Bad habit, you.
Yes. I need some help puzzling out shipping manifests from before the surge.
Scries, secured export, dates. You think some scries never made it past the Veil?
Doesn't it usually take some time to figure that kind of thing out?
Yes, but I'm a genius. This is what I do, Bryn. So, we should run these down. The records here aren't complete, though. They don't confirm the shipment.
Any idea how we do that?
This is where Bryn does what she does. Off the top of my head, there's 3 places we should look. Drover's Gate in the lower city is obvious. Logs will be there. Also, I imagine the Bastion would track export of any and all scries, military applications. And we should canvass the Hearthsiders. Maybe someone still alive who worked the caravans. I'd ask the Axle. She'd know who to ask. And we're not welcome in the general populace of Cassidans.
We have that in common. Impressive.
Happy to help.
Now that we have a pattern tracer, it's time to head to Cassidy's Hold. You seemed a little discouraged earlier when we were talking to Dom.
I was. I know he means well, but sometimes Dom's enthusiasm can be a bit much.
He seemed supportive.
Oh, he is, but let's just say sometimes he latches onto an idea without considering alternatives. It's fine. You're sweet to ask.
resonance. Freshly pulled from an ark's pattern, as requested.
By the flames! You can't be serious! This is incredible!
You know, great archons weren't built with patterns. They formed. This will propel my research faster than...
What is this about?
Nothing.
Is that so? Then why is this rogue point harvesting archons for you?
It's my fault. I was just hoping Isla could tell me more about their patterns.
Nice try. You weren't here 5 minutes before Isla roped you into her project. One that I have forbidden my daughter from pursuing.
Daughter?
The reason you didn't want me studying active arcs was because it was too dangerous to harvest one. But Bryn offered to do it for me. None of our people were put at risk.
The reason I didn't want you researching arcs is because I ordered you not to. Not as your father, but as the leader of the Enclave. This insolence and disrespect will not be tolerated. You will drop this obsession at once, Isla. For good.
Hey, are you?
I can't be seen speaking to you about this subject anymore. I'm sorry.
But
I need to get back to work. Goodbye.
Isla, I was wondering if you might be able to help my friend.
Oh, what seems to be the problem?
I was wondering if you've heard of an affliction known as Era's Plague.
A damaging misnomer, but yes.
It certainly seems like the Enclave had a better understanding of it than the rest of the Maida does. I believe our quartermaster is suffering from it. She's a Kashar like you.
Ah, yes. The condition isn't unique to Kashar, but it's believed we experience it in greater severity due to our unique sleep cycles. I've heard of Ram, Oberyn, Ashar, and Kasil alike who've experienced it. The first line of treatment is sleep. Unfortunately, that's difficult for Kashar. Thankfully, a sleeping balm should go a long way to help her. But it's not enough on its own.
Is there a more accurate name for this affliction?
Unfortunately, no. The research done on disorders of the mind is limited, even here. And I suppose academics are hesitant to rename conditions until they've become better understood.
Changing the name would just confuse matters, especially after the surge.
Then again, using a name that implies an individual has been cursed by a goddess of justice doesn't exactly foster empathy for its sufferers.
If this won't cure Kasmin, what else will we need to do to help her?
It's what she needs to do for herself, sadly. There is no cure for Ira's plague, only treatment and management of the condition. Sleep will put her on the right track, but she needs to eat properly and actively fight the compulsions that stem from her visions.
She has a long road ahead of her.
She does. But she's not walking it alone. She's lucky to have friends like you.
Have you experienced Era's Plague yourself?
Not personally, no. But when I was born, my mother sought out the sleeping balm recipe in case I ever needed it, being Kashar. Great foresight on her part.
You've never spoken of your mother before?
She died before I was even a year old. And my father doesn't like to speak of her.
How do I get hold of a sleeping balm?
Well, I can make one for you here if you bring me the ingredients. You'll need emerald lucin, a gemstone famed for its ability to radiate peace, and chill feather weave for its cooling properties. In addition to this, you'll need oil membrane for the formula, and of course, red cotton, because it filters the light so that the eyes find deeper rest.
I'll bring you those right away.
I really can't discuss the Ox with you. Not here.
Don't worry. I understand. I just didn't realize that Khan Stanold is your father.
Admittedly, I wasn't the most forthcoming about that.
I know we're not supposed to talk about the A word. But they're your passion. Why is your father so against you pursuing your research?
He says they're dangerous.
Right. But so are a lot of things in the Enclave.
I never knew my mother. I was born just before the retreat to Cassidon's Hold. When my research touched a nerve, he finally told me that she had died in an arc attack on the upper city. He wants me to steer clear of them, but he just doesn't see their potential. Yet.
Are you all right after that argument?
He's been on edge lately.
Since our band arrived.
That didn't help, but our relationship hasn't been great since I became the Spindle. At first, he was thrilled when I was elected, but you're just not seeing him at his best right now. Please, don't judge him too harshly.
I'll try not to. But you didn't answer my question. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
You said he's not at his best. What does a good day look like for him?
I know it's hard to see it, but he is an amazing father. My childhood was wonderful. Growing up in Cassidon's Hold wasn't easy, but he made it fun. No matter how intense his job became, he made time for me. Playing dress-up, reading to me before bed, or, as I got older, teaching me the basics of weaving and enchanting. He was my best friend and confidant. I could always tell him anything.
Do you still tell him everything, even now?
A lot has changed. But I have to believe he's still the same father I grew up with.
Just know that when it comes to our Weaver Band, we believe that our contributions are what defines us.
That's comforting. For what it's worth, I did enjoy working with you. But that's in the past. I should get back to my duties.
Arakim mentioned you wanted to compare a mantle with Matteo Agretius. We'd like to see if he might be my father. All right. I've set his mantle aside for you. I'll need yours too, and the pattern tracer to perform the test.
You all right?
A little nervous.
I have to say, your mantle is spectacular. Matteo's easily pales in comparison.
Oh, thank you. And, is he my father?
No, I'm sorry. It's not a match.
Oh, I see.
Hey, we'll keep looking. Maybe now it's time to talk to Lane?
You're right. We should consult with them. I just thought... Silly. I'll see you back at camp.
The Axel mentioned you were asking about my dear friend, Matteo Agretius.
You were close?
Matteo was a great man. In the aftermath of the surge, he went back for families that couldn't evacuate to Nevron. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago. You were comparing mantles to see if there might be a family relation.
Aurea was hoping he might be her father, but it turns out he's not.
Unfortunate. What an impressive lineage she would have.
Bryn? Hi, Zola. Everything okay?
Oh, yes. Welcome back. It's good to see you safe. Could we talk when you have a moment?
Of course.
I was really hoping we'd find my father among the statues, but it's time to expand the search. You were right, Lane.
I often am.
Let's build a census of male Oberon in the Enclave within a limited time frame that makes sense for your birth. Knowing your father had to have been here when the veil went up narrows our search significantly.
Time to chase a paper trail. Between the two of us, we'll find your father.
Yes.
Aurea, are you sure you're all right? Is this really just about your dad?
Of course. Sorry, I just really thought we would have found him already.
We will soon.
Our archival work might not be the most glamorous way to chase down a lost relative, but it is effective.
You're right.
You wanted to talk?
Mm-hmm. Can you walk with me?
Why all the mystery, Milady Smith?
In a word, I'm worried.
About?
Sev, he's been acting strangely. Has been since we met the Hearthsiders at the Hold. He's going there a lot in off hours, and he honestly looks a little exhausted. Dom, of course, stays up later than us and says he's often slipping away.
Have you asked Sev what's wrong?
I have, and he waves it off every time.
Right. What do we do about it?
Sev has completely cut me off. But you know how I tease Lane for watching us all the time? Maybe that will pay off here. I hate this cloak and dagger stuff.
You do? You seem pretty good at it.
Talk to Lane for me. I'm sure they've seen what Sev is doing, but maybe they also have a guess at why he's acting so odd. Okay, let's go back before anyone gets nosy. And if Sev asks, blood moon cycle. Not sure if Ram blush, but he sure does.
Got it.
Sounds like your work with Isla was a smash success.
Not exactly. She seems less willing to talk to us than ever.
I wouldn't be so sure of that. She sent me here with a secret message, after all.
She did? What about?
Isla wants you to go to the Archon's Hearth. It needs to be at night, though. She'll sneak away from Cassidon's Hold to guide you on the scry here. She wants you to collect Archon parts that may be hard to spot without her help.
I don't think I've been to the Archon's Hearth yet. Where is it exactly?
You've been pretty close to it.
I have?
Wow. You've forgotten our introduction so fast.
I take it that's where the cavern near the harness leads.
Correct.
So what is it exactly?
The Archon's Hearth is where all arcs were created. We lost control of it almost immediately after the Surgeborn appeared. Not that we had much use for it. The Surge hit it hard, and most of the Weavers who knew how to build arcs died as a result. But all the materials to build arcs are still there. Hence, the Spindle wants you to go.
The Eye, well, her father, was livid when I brought her the resonance. Couldn't Isla get in trouble for sneaking out?
I know. Oh, she's never been cooler. But yes, she could absolutely get in trouble for this. We should make it a quick trip.
Got it. What parts does Isla want me to collect?
It'll be 3 what's-its, 4 who's-its, and maybe a thingy or 2?
For a guy delivering secret messages, you're not really a detailed note-taker, are you?
I glazed over when she started listing the parts, and, well, we decided her sneaking out to guide you on your scry was the best course of action. Besides, even if we knew what the parts were called, there's a lot of junk down in the Archon's Hearth. It wouldn't be easy to spot on your own.
I appreciate you being the middleman, Eric. Sounds like I'd better get to the Archon's hearth.
Enjoy the trip. I hear it's toasty when you get deeper in. It is basically a giant forge for arcs, after all.
Eric, you don't think you could have mentioned that the spindle is the Eye's daughter?
That's her business to share.
Yes, but it would have been nice to know I was helping his daughter rebel against him.
Instead of helping his unrelated colleague undermine him.
Wow. Mean. But fair.
Your intervention definitely had an impact, though. A number of enchanters immediately started pushing for more. More expeditions, more studies of the Surgeborn, you name it. That's the kind of pressure the Eye was hoping to avoid. But I think him blowing up was a misstep. If I had to guess, that Axel started the rumors.
Do you think that's what Isla wanted?
No. She just wants to keep her head down and not have people focus on the I-father thing. And frankly, I get it. If Khan Stanil were my dad, I'd take it to the grave.
Okay. But if I'm walking into any more deadfalls, a heads up would be nice.
I promise. Unless it's someone's private business.
When we first met at the harness, you were very brusque. All of you, and so on. How come?
Snap decision. I was there to warn you and suddenly my earpiece activated. Someone was watching me on the scry.
You think it was the Eye?
I do. He'd made some comments about previous off-the-books expeditions I'd done, such as the one where I slipped your band a warning about the flood. So, I kept up the front as best I could.
Do you need to sneak around him a lot?
To get things done, I often have to cut through all the rules and limitations. For example, your help is making things happen. The Eye's planning something, but no one's telling me what. I'm not sure the Spindle or the Axle even know. I'd guess we're all going to be handed orders and expected to deliver on a moment's notice. The Eye always claims he's protecting the people by sharing on a need-to-know basis. What do you make of it?
Everyone works better when we're aware of the challenges ahead. I couldn't do what I do if Dharm refused to tell me how my mantle works, for instance.
No limits then? Just share everything we know.
Ideally. If more Weavers had shared what they knew before the Surge, we wouldn't have been set back by decades.
And some of you might have been able to make it past the Veil sooner if you'd had any idea how it worked. You've given me a lot to think about. I should get back to looking over these reports, though.
We need to talk about Sev.
Wait, you know why I'm here?
I'm a keen observer, and you have no Pangel face. Also, Solar has many strengths, but subtlety is not one of them. Sev, however, is somewhat more adept at hiding things. He's been moving back and forth between here and the hold quite regularly. Let me ask you something. Did you notice anything odd when you were at the hold?
There was a moment when Sev approached the Eye to speak alone.
Ah. That confirms my suspicion, then. Have you noticed that Sev and the Eye wear a similar symbol?
I had not.
The symbol looks to be a stylized... well, I'm not sure, but I think it's something akin to a water wheel. I don't recognize it myself, but given the Eye is wearing it, the Enclave might have some record of that particular symbol.
The archives in the Spire might have something, though I'd rather just ask Sev.
Given his secrecy about this whole affair, I can't imagine he will be forthcoming.
Good point. And yet... Either way, time for a little investigation. Hey, Big Eye. Everything okay?
Yes, mostly. I was wondering if you had a moment sometime. I might need your help.
You said you needed some help, Sev? What's up?
Have I ever told you how I envy your clarity, Bryn?
How so?
Maybe I'm just romanticizing it, but You seem like someone who's always known what you wanted to do. To be.
I was born in the tail years of a liberation war, Sev. It never made sense to me that I couldn't be anything I wanted. So I just decided.
I wish making decisions came so simply to me. Perhaps you can give me pointers when the time comes. Anyway, I've been working on a side project to help the Hearthsiders, and I'm having trouble sourcing some rarer components.
What are you working on?
I can't say much, but I can tell you it's a project authorized by the Eye himself.
That revelation would carry more weight if you weren't an ass.
I know he can be abrasive, but he's got a plan. Says he's been working on it for years.
Do the Axel or Spindle know about this plan?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't think they have details, no.
But you do.
He's sworn me to secrecy. But I promise you, Bryn, it's nothing against us.
You're sure?
I know I come off as a pushover, but I know when to hold my ground. And would never harm this group, Bryn, I swear on my tusks.
If you think it's worth doing, it's worth doing. Just tell me what you need.
Bryn, honestly, thank you. Your trust means a lot. I've put together a schematic and I'll leave it with Solar. The majority of the asks are reasonably mundane. It's just...
Oh no.
Well, I need some particular secretions from a glass tail.
Why is it never onions? You know, small, green, distinct lack of talons. Never flash freeze you into an icy prison, though I suppose both can make you cry. I'm kidding, Sev. I'll see what I can do. You know, I've been curious about something.
Oh, I know this one. A soft cloth and some ergon seed oil.
I'm sorry, what?
You... weren't asking about tusk care? Everyone eventually asks.
Spirits, no. But that's intriguing. I was wondering about that symbol you wear. With the wheel?
Oh, that... That's just... a family heirloom. Of sorts. Thought it looked nice, is all.
Just thought it looked nice.
I'm so sorry, Bryn. Just remembered, I have to move some things for Aurea. Maybe another time.
Census records. The pivotal piece of the puzzle, as Lane would say. Others might find dull. Maybe Oria's father is among them. My old point, Aaron, used to boast he could sell an Oberon their malted feathers. Ugh. The Bastion. Lane said to look for regiment records. These are the regiment records Lane asked for. My father told me stories about how instrumental the Oberon were in the wars for Carnhaven's independence. They would glide behind enemy lines and strike with precision. A detailed list of all scries exported from the Enclave. Slightly not pending.
Perfect for cross-referencing in a little hunt.
What have you got for us, Lane?
I've narrowed it down to 3 likely candidates. A Hallowpire priest, a farmer, and the last military commander prior to the evacuation to Cassidon's Hold.
A military commander sounds promising. How do we narrow down which of those 3 is my father?
That's where we step away from the books and do some investigating. Right?
I'll check the garrison, the market, and the Hallowpire Rise for any traces of these Oberon.
Did you learn anything?
When I asked Sev about the wheel symbol? No. He was pretty evasive.
Being evasive is, in and of itself, rather telling. Means we're onto something of note.
How did you know I asked, anyway?
I watch people closely. A habit so deeply ingrained you could call it a groove at this point.
Is he telling me Carnhaven is now completely independent from Sansa? Bryn's parents fought in the war. Wow. I guess it makes sense that our history books are a little out of date, but I never imagined so much could change since the Surge.
From what we've gathered, quite a lot has happened inside the Vale as well, has it not?
Yes, that's true, but I don't know how to describe it. The Archon's malfunctioning, the Surgeborn appearing, the retreat to Cassidon's Hold. They're all phases of this one crisis. So even when catastrophe strikes, life here still feels stagnant. Remember my missing runner you found in the upper city?
One of the siblings with the hidden cache? I do.
Yes. One of my group heads got a little paranoid. He's since been dealt with. Anyway, I have a conundrum. We recovered the body. Thank you for that, by the way.
I noticed there's no dead anywhere in the Enclave.
There were. Tens of thousands right after the Surge, and another wave after the Surgeborn attacks before Asylum. We found everyone we could and gave them rights. Took years. Anyway, the problem now is I have a dead runner who broke all kinds of rules, and I'm not entirely sure how to handle it. The group heads need to know this happened. That's a given. But do I tell all the scouts? They could learn something from it.
If I were you, I'd get in front of this. Word's going to get around eventually, if it hasn't already. Face it head on. Be honest. People will be concerned at first, but in the long run, they'll appreciate the transparency.
Right. Let them hear it from me and the whole story. Yes, there was a problem. Yes, it's been dealt with. Might upset a few, but in the end, it will build trust. Appreciate the advice, Bryn. Always good to get another perspective on these things. I just wish the siblings had talked to me before they felt they had to sneak around.
This was where the farmer Lane mentioned was selling his crops. I should look around. Detailed logs of every caravan to move in and out of the city.
Before the surge, the Enclave was a trade hub. This is one part of why they were so successful. Bane and I should be able to parse them quickly enough. See if any scries were due to go out.
A pair of silver glasses with an intricate cloth connecting them. Enchanted.
Could it be?
Bryn, please, bring those back to camp.
Of course.